Bring in our A-plus panel to break this down. What a disastrous day for a radio talk show host. Jeanette Hoffman, political strategist, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Bill.
Wayne Smith, former mayor and head of Wayne Smith Associates, good to have you. And Bob Bianchi, former Morris County prosecutor. Bob, let me start with you. What can we expect? This has got to be, what was it a shock, do you think? Are most of these perps, when they get arrested and taken out of their home early in the morning, they're surprised to see it? What do you think?
Listen, even as a prosecutor, when we would execute search warrants and arrest people, you had to feel a little bit bad. You would be inhuman if you didn't. They're being arrested out of their home. They're otherwise citizens that are respected in the community. They're being carted off into a jail. Their property's being taken. Search warrants are probably being executed. Electronic data devices are being taken from them. It is an extremely unnerving thing to put anybody through.
All right, let's switch this up on a political. Now, I know, Jeanette, you're not listening to the Fan in the Morning because I'm on 6 to 10 a.m. on New Jersey 101.5. But this is the job that Chris Christie wanted.
Yeah, that's true. But let's talk about Craig Carton. I know he's innocent till proven guilty and all that stuff, but I think he's guilty of being a terrible person. He got his radio career here in New Jersey bashing immigrants, making fun of the governor's wife when she came forward with postpartum depression. I don't think the guy has a moral compass at all. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. That being said, yes, this is the job that Governor Christie originally wanted, and he kind of took himself out of consideration. So you have to wonder, did he know something was going on?
What did Christie know, and when did he know it?
We'll see.
Mayor, what do you think?
I don't know, but I will say this, and I go back to this fundamental American principle. You're innocent until proven guilty. So this guy's got to have his day in court. But listen, for his political commentary, which he shouldn't be on a sports show talking about anyway, it's ridiculous. But in this particular case, let's see what happens. And I will say this, I disagree with my distinguished counsel here. You know that the prosecutor doesn't always get it.
Wait,
right.
You disagree?
I disagree.
Yell at him a little bit. Because you know what? I gotta believe there's more emotion behind that disagreement.
I didn't say the prosecutor got it right, but what I said is that the feds have a tremendous amount of resources. They have the power of the grand jury. They prepare their cases with the FBI. Are people found not guilty? And I agree with you afterwards. Absolutely, but these are usually pretty well resourced.
This is the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. They've been building this case for a long time, it seems.
Right.
Trump actually appointed somebody after he booted the guy out?
All right, well, either way, whoever replaces him, there's another show on 6 to 10 a.m., which you ought to be listening to. Check back with our A-plus panel here, Jeanette, Wayne, Bob. Wayne, let me ask you, as a former mayor, do you think that what I said was right? Better to be safe than sorry. A lot of people are saying, oh, don't panic. It's not about panic. It's about preparedness.
Well, absolutely, and as a former emergency management coordinator as well. So, yeah, better safe than sorry. But the interesting thing about Puerto Rico in this particular case, they also have a financial crisis, which means that could put in question their preparedness as well. So it could be some trouble there.
Listen, when I was prosecutor and Sandy hit, we were in charge of all of OEM, and it was amazing. We tried to be as prepared as possible. But when this really hit and people can't get gas and electricity goes out and food starts running out, it was amazing to me all the way up in Morris County, a very affluent place with all of the great assets and resources we had. Things were getting really dicey and really dangerous out there. So you're right. Prepare yourself. Have food, have water, have electricity, backup electricity, and be careful for the safety issues.
Jeanette, how about the politicians? You've been a political strategist for a long time. Do you have any advice for candidates who are running? These are interesting times for storms because you've got candidates that are headed toward an election or a re-election.
Well, the most important thing, as Bob and Wayne have said, is preparedness. Governor Rick Scott in Florida has done a great job. This is not the time for politics. This is a time to get people safe, to keep people safe, and to what you need to do to survive the storm.
Thank you, but I want to, all right, before I bring in our A-plus panel to break this down, I want to introduce you to an expert, not necessarily on the indictment side and the court proceedings, but somebody who's been there in the seat of power as a chief of staff for a former U.S. Senator. Jim McQueenie, welcome back to Chasing News. You were Frank Lautenberg's chief of staff for a long time, and you're now the host of New Jersey Now on My 9. Let me ask you, any surprises on how this is proceeding? First and foremost, Cory Booker being in the courtroom with his Senate pal.
Well, that's the first surprise. He's not on any government witness list or anything like that, and he shows up. This is really about almost political solidarity, right? I think it's actually misguided solidarity, but there's also a political side here. Booker's up for re-election in 2020. Certainly, if anything happens to Bob Menendez and he's out, you want to inherit a vote that says we simpatico with the Hispanics on this type of thing when you want to run, right? So there's a political equation in this, as well as a friendship, as well as an altruistic thing. But if I were still on the job and I were doing this and Corey were the guy I was working for...
What would you have told him? Would you have been there?
Stay away from that courtroom, buddy.
All right, let me bring in our panel here. Jeanette Hoffman, political strategist. Thanks for being here. Wayne Smith, former mayor and head of Wayne Smith Associates. Good to have you. And Bob Bianchi, former prosecutor in Morris County. Let me start with you on another subject. In the proceedings, the judge and the defense attorney exchanging words.
Right. I think the defense attorney, given what I understand of that encounter, is letting it be known that we are standing up against the government. And in his mind, the judge did something that was inappropriate. And I'm setting a tempo that I'm going to stand up to the judge. Now, you got to be respectful for the judge, but that doesn't mean you don't fight for your client's rights. So I respect the defense attorney, even as a prosecutor who gets up and makes his record so that should there be a conviction down the road, then that could be looked at as to whether or not that caused an appeal. And as far as I'm concerned, Cory Booker being in that room is an excellent thing. No one's ever there for defendants.
Are you buying that? Are you buying that?
Give me a break, Cory Booker. You have nothing better to do. You're being paid to represent the people of New Jersey. It's bad enough we have one U.S. senator on trial in court not standing up for interest. What is Cory Booker doing there? It's ridiculous.
Wait, you agree with that?
Well, look, there's one...
So Cory been there?
Well, listen, there's one fundamental that everybody is presumed innocent. And I'm assuming that Cory made that presumption, that the man is innocent until proven guilty.
This guy is on trial for bribery and corruption.
Yes.
I mean, at some point, if the expectation that he's going to get convicted, how is it possible that Cory Booker is not held to a different standard? That, he just gets a pass?
It's so ridiculous. And whether or not the jury convicts Senator Menendez or not, his political career is toast.
Wayne, I hear a bunch of legal gobbledygook here. I think this is outrageous. I want to know what you think, that you've got a doctor, a friend of the senator, who's a crook. He's been convicted.
Well, he's been convicted. The senator hasn't yet. So that's what a trial is for. And we'll find out in the course of the trial what the jury thinks.
Aren't you judged at some level by the company you keep? A guy that's convicted on $90 million in Medicaid fraud? I think Corey's got another thing coming if he thinks you're not going to be judged by the company you keep.
But the doctor's already been convicted.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. Listen, guys, I'm sorry. I got to leave it there. Jeanette, thank you. Wayne, always good to see you. Jim, Bob, thank you. Here is Dan.